What is up, buddy?
What is going on, everybody? What is going on, Gary? Happy Friday, September 13th. Crazy. Crazy. But we're talking about gold, Bitcoin, alts, and silver.
Dude, look at this
Talking
chart.
about,
Is this beautiful or what?
well, tell me why it's beautiful. Just because of the
Well,
green candles, or what are you looking at?
well, this is Bitcoin chart, 1 hour. It moved over 1,500 in 1 hour, bro. See that big old green candle right there? Now, 58.2 is an extremely important number to hold, which is right around here.
Mm.
Um, we hold that. I mean, I had a long conversation with Ladio yesterday. And who seems to understand these markets pretty well. I think he's more of a technical player, and he was like, "Hey, it's not gonna get past 58 too." Well, it's done that. Now let's see what it does. But also, really more importantly, gold has been moving, silver's been moving. In fact, you and I moved some silver yesterday. See, Bitcoin just hit 60 grand. Um, I moved silver yesterday and called the guy and said, "Look, don't sell it. I'm going to wait for the market to move a little bit. I think we're going to continue. We're going to go test silver's $32 point. We got S&P at all-time high or near it. Bitcoin's doing what it does, and gold has just performed. Let me see if I can pull the gold chart up. See, look at gold. I mean, this is the same 1 hour chart. Let me put this on it. You can see this, I take it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, look at that, dude. That's a 1 day, that's a
candle.
daily chart. Okay. Now that's very impressive movements for gold. Let's go look at silver. Silver's doing the same thing. The question to the audience, what are these charts telling you? Okay. Is gold, silver, and Bitcoin all telling you? And maybe they're telling us different things. I'd be very interested to know what people think. I've been saying for a long time, because this gold chart goes back some time here. Let me pull that up. I've been saying for some time this gold chart looks to me like we're going to war. What's the time period here? Just a one stop. You know, central banks buy gold to put it on their reserve base to protect against a lot of things. And this is a pretty long move now. I bought a gold at, what did I sell it for? 2,200. I bought gold at 1,100, and I bought silver at, I think, about $12 an ounce. That was in 2016. And sometime next week or the following, I'll sell my silver, and I'll have a very small position in silver or gold, just physical to be able to trade with if the whole world ends up. But this is telling me that the markets are into protection mode. But I'd be interested to understand from other people what they think is really happening here. And so it's pretty exciting to me. This is really exciting news. Three pieces of good data, I think, and only one bad piece of data, which is my pet peeve here that I found out about last night, 12 hours ago, was the World Liberty coin. I'm just about to drive myself into a corner and want to shoot my leg off. It's just poor timing. I don't get it. So I've been calling people all in the administration. Hey, what's going on, man? Like, can I help here? Because I think that maybe the timing ain't perfect on this one, or not thought through, or I don't know. I'm not even looking forward to hearing about it on the 16th. Sam, can you carry through? I've got to go grab that.
Do your thing. I think my big question to you guys would be why gold and Bitcoin are making the move that they're doing. Fibaswamy, what's going up, dude? What's going up, Bart? What's going up, Andy? You know, anytime there's prices like these moving, like the price of gold, I'll tell you the other day. So Gary and I moved, I think, the equivalent of about 1,400 pounds of silver. And by Gary and I mean I move most of it, right? Because that's my job. I'm like, yeah, Gary, I'll take care of this. I learned how heavy silver is, by the way. And so now I also learned I've never sold silver. I don't think I've ever bought silver. I think I have some silver somewhere that I'm sure like my dad gave me, but like I've never been a hard commodities guy, right? I've never been a physical gold, physical silver, like bars or coins, even though I do have some coins actually now that I think about it. But one, the buying and selling of silver, like in large quantities, really made me understand why Bitcoin is so much better than any precious metal, in my opinion. Maybe it's just because I had to be the one to move it all. But like the fact that you have to transport it, then like there's no trust. So then they have to test every single thing, make sure that it's not fake. Learning about how you can fake silver. I learned that you can like, some people will like grab aluminum and then coat it in silver to make it heavier. Fiboswami, I've been in commodities for 25 years, hard, soft, whatever. Yeah, but you've traded commodities, or have you actually just held them yourself? I don't know. But to your point, Gary, like, why do you think gold's making the move that it's? Why is Bitcoin moving? Why is gold moving? I mean, that's what I don't understand. Like, why is it moving on a Friday, right?
Yeah, more buyers and sellers.
Yeah. So but there's nothing. There's no report that came out. There's no. It's far after the debate, so it's not like the debate performance measure. I doubt it with Trump's, Liberty Financial launch. I don't get. I mean, unless these moves are more common, right? Is this actually just pretty common? It's not that big of a deal at all.
Well, I mean, I think you got to look at, hey, well, why is gold normally acquired? And
safe haven, right?
Well, yeah, safe haven. Also, if these markets actually start to break up, which they have every characteristic of breaking up. By breaking up, I mean no longer globalized. You do have a Brexit. You have a micro market. Guess what those guys are going to all need? They're going to need commodities sitting on their reserves that they can point to and go, look, our economy is worth this much because we have this much reserves. We have this much debt. Right? So someone's buying gold. Someone's buying silver. And they've been doing so for, I think, about a year and a half, maybe a year. Someone's buying Bitcoin. It's moved from 15,000 to 59,000. The world, I mean, like, if we want to have a Friday afternoon at noon, hey, let's get dark. Why is gold moving? I could pull up 30 video streams to show you interviews with Putin that I got to tell you, okay, you watch an interview with Mr. Putin, and you will not vote for anybody but Trump because he is as articulate as any leader I have ever seen speak. He doesn't need notes. And he's talking about serious matters, not some of the shit that I heard on the debate the other night. Serious matters on, the Ukraine and missile capabilities and, who actually pushes the button on some of these Western weapons. Ukrainian soldiers cannot fire a weapon. It requires a NATO soldier to do some of this stuff. And so like when I hear Putin say, that's why gold's moving, dude. Okay. And we can talk about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and the insanity of American politics. But the truth is there's a lot of weird shit going on all over the place. I mean, I could literally smack up some videos here that, they're scaring me, buddy. Okay. Like we actually have people in multiple cities rioting. And they're not just rioting about against the government. They're rioting against the very people that live in those cities and have been paying taxes with those cities. There's a fight going on. So that's, gold performs well in these environments where you have socioeconomic meltdowns. That's the way I've always seen gold. Gold was a safe haven. the true anarchist tool, pack some in your vault, put it in your ground, and when shit hits the fan, lock and load and go grab the shovel and grab your gold and prepare. Well, not prepare, but go into that next part of people only want real money because the fake money is just degrading.
So pivoting off our conversation that we had last evening, you would not hold cash right now. Like if I had $10,000 in the bank, what would I do with that? I know the easy answer is put it in the Bitcoin, obviously, but let's just say Bitcoin doesn't exist. Do I hold on to the cash and wait for a better buying opportunity, or do I put that in gold?
Well, first off, I mean, the question needs a little framework around it because if you say, hey, should I just be in cash? Well, for 30 years, no. But would I stack some cash up waiting for an event? I'm stacking cash up every time I can. I deploy it into Bitcoin. But my time horizon is different. And so my time horizon and your time horizon should be very similar. In fact, the advice you were given last night, and anyone your age by Simon,
awesome.
Dude,
awesome.
I want you to clip that entire thing. Okay, we're going to go through I have dozens and dozens and hundreds of comments from people, experience, little seeds of unbelievable value. We should be clipping that shit. There's a whole book in there of quotations and comments that just fly out of somebody's mouth, and you're like, oh my God, man, was that perfect? Literally a 4-year education was given to you the other day. Like literally, I believe, like, if I wish someone would have told me that, dude. I wish someone would have told me that. Now, I wasn't mature enough to do it when I was your age. Well, I was just getting mature enough. I was probably confused enough at 27. I'm like, I'll listen to anybody. Oh, by the way, that is a problem. Listening to anybody and everyone, it can create tremendous confusion. So I mean, what are you waiting for, dude? Like, I think you're going to love $60,000 Bitcoin. Now, what are we learning though? Okay. Maybe this thing's going to move all over the place. Okay. Maybe what you do if you got 10 grand is you stick it in the exchange or your bank and you place a bid there for 55, 54. And if you get filled, you get filled. And all along, you just keep adding cash to that little stack. And you start now becoming a little bit, don't chase the market, not so much chase the market, but you're just going to sit there and go, hey, look, I'm expecting 10 and 15% pullbacks. So no sense in me, oh, I've got 10 grand, let me deploy it. Hey, you got 10 grand? Whack 5 of it on a $56,000 bid and whack 5 of it on a $55,000 bid. It keeps wanting to test that level. You know, something to that point, I just want to, it dawned on me the other night. I kept saying, see if I can pull this chart up. I kept saying when Bitcoin moved from, let me see if I can get this chart up. I always feel like I'm doing this really slowly and it's so confusing to the audience. So if I'm doing it bad, y'all tell me. But look, here we are in December of 2022. Is that right? Yeah. December of 2022. We're at 17 grand. Okay.
Share your screen.
Oh, am I not doing that?
No. Just click present and then add to stage.
Yeah. I'm just finishing something up on this one though. Present.
And I can give you, I know.
It is presented actually. You're not seeing that.
Then just add to stage. Just add to stage then.
Add to stage. It was in the stage. Okay. Let's see. You see that, right?
So this is Bitcoin over.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin. Now this is a 1 week chart.
Okay.
Okay. And we can go back a long time ago. This is 2020. This is 2022 at 15 grand. Okay. 15.8.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Now let's go back to right here. This is what year is it? This is January. Okay. This is what I'm trying to show you. How little time we ever spent in the 50s. Remember me saying that? I was like, man, like it's 69 up here. This was in 2021, right? This was at the first all-time high, right? Look, it just went, it hit here. This is 58, and then it just chopped right down the end of the 40s. See, we never spent any time in the 50s. You see this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I know it's not really clear, but we spent what the hell did I just do? We spent very, very little time in the 50s. Don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh, did it just move from candles to line?
Here, yeah. I'm just I got too much stuff going on right now. Let me just get out of this now. So my point is, we spent very little time in the 50s, moving from 69 down through the 40s, and then when we came back up, if you remember, we went from 25 to 42. Played with 42. I remember buying 42s and doing a video going, hey, I'm cutting this video short. This thing ain't staying at 42. Okay. It's just, you could feel it's just like, I want to go, man. And then it just ran right to 49. I remember Grant calling me, hits 50. Grant pings me, does one of these spaces, starts making fun of me. Oh, he can't even hold 50. I went, bro, it's been there for like 10 minutes. Okay. Chill. Go straight to 58, 59. Okay, spent no time in the 50s. Guess what it's doing now? It came back. It just hit me. I'm like, why is it sitting here in the 50s, 55, 57, 58? Because it never spent any time there. And it has done that now. It's like, I think it's spent a considerable amount of time here. And it doesn't like 52, doesn't like 50, doesn't like 53. And so we're at 50, 59, right? I think we and it makes sense to me that it would be moving with gold. Like, this makes total sense to me that these to me should be correlated. I know people keep saying they're correlated to the S&P and all that, but if I'm scared, man, I think Bitcoin is an awesome product to move into a really scary world. I mean, that's originally why I got into Bitcoin. If you just think about how much energy we spent yesterday moving 23,000 ounces of gold. I mean, silver. Well, that'd have been nice. 23,000 ounces of gold. I mean, how many T-shirts did you change?
When I was moving it into the truck, it was an enormous amount. I mean, I think I walked in and you were probably like, damn, Sam.
Dude, get away from me, man. You're stinky.
I know, yeah. But really, you know what's so funny is, this is gonna sound so stupid. I just didn't understand how dense that stuff was. So I'm like, all right, a box is, yay big, whatever. I'm like, all right, this will take a while. I pick one up and I'm like, oh, damn. And then I'm like chucking them into the back of your car. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's one box. We got about 30, 40 more boxes to go. So I'm just it was a lot. I mean, you had, even the small ones, like, damn, right? Like, this is better than any workout I've had, just moving silver. And I was like, that's not even, I mean, I know it's a lot of silver, but I mean, how much silver do the big guys play with? Maybe that is how much they play with. I don't know, but I can't imagine doing much more than that.
Well, you moved 1,400 pounds of silver yesterday, dude.
Yeah.
1,437.5 pounds of silver. Stuck it in the back of the Range Rover. I drove the Range Rover the other day, and I haven't driven in a long time.
Felt like a tank.
I could feel that I was carrying it. Man, those two vehicles are totally different now. They're not even the same. I mean, it's the braking power on that new one. I'm not sure I could drive the old one much more anymore. It's so massively different. Not to change gears, but gears. Get it?
just for your reference though, like I know two things. One, like I am trying to follow your thesis on concentration, right? So when I say like I got $10,000, like me personally, what I'm actually doing is most of that's going into Bitcoin. One, because I believe in it, I like it, I know what I understand, I get it. But the other thing that I'm always thinking is one, like I try to put myself in this scenario of if I was not a Bitcoin guy, what the hell am I doing? Like I'm trying to get in the head of someone who's not in Bitcoin, which is still a lot of Americans. And it worries me because I don't understand what you would do. Like listening to Simon, listening to Grant, listening to a bunch of the other speakers that we had yesterday, listening to Three Aces and all that stuff. I'm just saying to myself the whole time, I'm like, how much of this is relevant to someone who's from the ages of like 18 to 30? Like, if I'm not a Bitcoin guy, like it to me, I'm learning this might be the only alternative for someone in my age bracket because I don't think I'm going to get into multifamily, right? Maybe I can if I'm 23, but is a 23-year-old going to buy gold and silver? Is a 23-year-old going to get into starting a business right away? Like, I'm like, what options do people have? I know my option, right? But that's what I've been trying to wrap my head around because I know how I think I know what I'm doing. I'm like, what's everyone else going to do? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. If you're not buying Bitcoin right now, how you feel safe or confident, right? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I think that's why you have a good voice here, right? And like that show that we did last night, I found that show to probably be more valuable than many of the shows that we've had, because the discussion that discussion on you and like where Grant and Simon were going. And then Simon came, hey, I just think that's horrible advice for a 27-year-old. I thought that was awesome. And in fact, Grant will tell you, like that kid that works for Grant, Jarrett Glant, same story. He joined Grant when he was 26 or 27, and now the guy runs Grant's business. I mean, it's exactly. Anyway, I just thought it was extremely valuable bit of information. And you're right, dude. Like you could hold a show on this. Hey, I'm 27. I'm an American. I'm building my career. And what the hell are we doing? And, you're going to find yourself, this is a problem. A guy like you gets your shit together and you focus, you get around the right vehicle, you start making money. No one around you will, you literally, you will have none of your own friends to hang out with because they're not thinking about this. And I tell you what, it is so painful to have a friend that you want to go somewhere with and you want to go do a cool thing and you realize, hey, I can't invite the guy because he can't afford it. Or I can't even talk to him about what I did last week because his ability to, oh, wow, you spent how much money on a trip, dude? He'll be like, oh my God, you're such a wasteful human being. And then our relationship starts getting further and further apart. It's so sad to watch. So I'd encourage you to have this conversation, man. Hold the show. I'll come to it. Hey, I'm 27. What the fuck? I'm going to be all by myself with a bunch of 40-year-olds. And what are you guys doing? And like, it's important to know, because if you start looking around and realizing 27 to 37-year-old men have no fucking clue what they're getting ready to do, it's going to impact our economy. Like this is, to me, these soft issues are the most important issues, man. And 20, 30 years ago, I'd have been like, nah, got to make some money. These soft issues are more important. Like the way we're doing things now, this is a very slippery slope. It doesn't go back. I was in Rome. I'll share a story with you. I was in Rome, I think about 7 years ago. And I was looking around going, oh my God, man, what is the unemployment rate here? The age between 18 and 28 is like 47% unemployment. Now, the way I think with that is you're telling me that less than half the people are employed between 18 and 28. That means in 10 years, you have lost an entire population of people that know how to work. In fact, you've lost an entire population of people that know how to show up on time to work, much less carry a shovel, sweep a floor, and not get sick. I mean, it's just like you look at it and you go, oh, wow, Italy's done. Because the expense of them keeping up all the stuff that makes Italy cool, it's getting older by the moment. Every day, a little bit of rain drops on it, dude. It's getting worse and worse. Can you imagine taking care of there'd be a day when the Egyptian pyramids don't like that comes, right? And it accelerates. So you look at these countries and you're like, how are they going to survive? And don't sit there and pretend to be so stupid that you can't figure out, hey, what happens here is going to spread. Because what happens? Well, the Italians are looking around going, hey, I need to migrate. The good ones and the bad ones do nothing to make the toilet bowl any cleaner. Right? So you look what's going on in California, dude. You're losing all the people with toilet paper. And all you're left with is just a toilet bowl with nobody. I mean, it's just a train wreck. Now, I know this is an awful analogy, but I think it is a very appropriate analogy. If you don't clean your shit up, dude, it just gets worse. And no one's cleaning up and no one's preparing to have a clean, a clean facility in the future. So what you're doing, you're just getting around these people and listening to the way people think. You've been doing this for maybe 4 or 5 months. The more you do it, you'll be like, okay, that guy knows what he's talking about. That guy over there, it's interesting, but really? And then you'll start understanding. It becomes so clear. And that's when you see people go like Grant, because Grant's not wrong. Okay. Grant is very, very consolidated into his play, but he can afford to be wrong on Bitcoin because it's not going to kill him. But you see him also coming along. Why? Because more and more pragmatic people he sees and listens to that actually tell the correct story instead of that idiot last night that was communicating. You ask a question, he goes on pitching you the value of Bitcoin. You're like, that wasn't even my question, man. I'm just trying to, how do I get in a really cool position for the future? And there'll be a point when there's a better option than Bitcoin. I don't see you buying gold. After you touched all that silver, dude, like I'll give you one of those silver coins, stick it in a little frame, and you're done. Right?
Yeah.
My kids, though, my children, think about this. My children have seen $1 million in a duffel bag in cash. You know how much cash I carry around all the time. They've seen that their whole life. And they've seen all the gold. They've seen all the silver, all the bullets, and all the guns. They've seen all this shit, touched it all. You realize now they will never see that in the future, right? No, none of that. That's probably the last age. My children are going to tell stories to their children. Go, oh, my dad was a player. They're going to say all this crazy shit. Oh, he used to carry stacks of cash in bags, and like all of this is legit. I mean, I get it from the bank. I don't have a cash business. I just think it's really funny that we're living in a time when we realize, wow, this is all going away. It's not ever going to be mentioned in the future.
I have a million different places I want to take this conversation, but it is interesting going back to even like the problem of my generation and what you saw in Italy. It makes I think it makes the consequences of what's going on right now globally and financially, economically wise with the upcoming election just 10 times more important. Because I just think, to your point, what do you do when you have a whole generation that not only doesn't know how to work, but then doesn't have good leadership and then doesn't even have the opportunity to work? I remember studying about unemployment and underemployment about 2 years ago. And we did a study about there was a group of people after the recession who, after a year of being unemployed, were never, 10 years later, were never able to regain the same trajectory that they were on before the recession. Just kind of like how you see a graph of the US economy and there's a dip, but we never pick that dip right back up, right? It dips and then you're forever always like 3% below where you should have been. If that falls an entire generation, that's not going to be good, right? And then to like your point, even with like, yeah, Bitcoin's literally changing who you are able to hang around, right? Because yeah, how do you have conversations with someone who just I guess I want to say doesn't get it, but maybe can't even think about it, right? Maybe they're too caught up in everything else and just haven't had the time to focus. Because if it's a life raft, right? If Bitcoin's a life raft for the next 10, 20 years, you can only fit so many people on a life raft, right? Like if I have my own, I can only bring how many people, right? It gets my mind thinking very seriously about some things, because it's just like, okay, well, not only how are you allocating your money, how do you allocate your relationships based off of what you're investing in? And I think the relationship allocation, Bitcoin's easy. People are a little bit harder, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think relationship allocation is a little bit harder of a game to play.
Well, it's believe me, it's not a hard game to play, because it's there's not many people playing the game you're going to play. So it's going to be a fairly small pool no matter what. Sadly, I wish the pool were much bigger. But it's just the way it is, dude. You know, this bell curve, it's a bell curve for a reason. Okay. It's like, there's going to be people that, this is why I really like doing this stuff I do on Saturdays. I'm going to do one tomorrow on IQ and characteristics. And there's a whole thing. I think it's much easier, I think, to, you know, join a meeting with 5,000 people in it and talk about charts and stuff like that. I think it's easier. The more complicated conversation is, hey, look, I'm just so lucky that I have a rebellious spirit, and that at about the age of 7 years old, I was just probably 9 or 10 years old. I was just like, I don't believe anything I'm hearing. I don't believe the church. I think everybody's guessing at this shit. And I literally have been this way my whole life. Now, I didn't go into like total, I hate you. But I just didn't buy the party line. And it's just saved my ass, man, because most all of my friends and associates, they were so focused on making straight A's and being nice to everyone and getting in line and not disturbing stuff. I see my kids doing it. I'm like, hey, tell your teacher this bullshit, dude. It's just inconsistent. Oh no, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be the odd person. See, that's the problem. If you're like that, I was the odd guy out. I'm always the odd guy out. I feel that way. I think other people may just feel that way too. And it's just all insecurity, but I got lucky. Okay. To hold meetings and really discuss stuff like this, although it's not, you know, it's the education system is horrible. And I just worry that, well, I don't really worry. I think I'm more interested probably in spending my time on the stuff you and I and Simon did last night, and Grant. I see, for me, for 300 or however many people were in that, 600 people in that room. That was a nice room last night. Actually, a lot of really cool people. Hey, did I tell you? Watch the people. It's going to get a much bigger and diverse group of people. You see how people are starting to come in, and they're voluntarily coming in. We're not managing any of these rooms. Okay. This is very important. I am not like peppering people in these rooms to make it a certain flavor. I want it to be a freaking monster gumbo, to go back to old good Louisiana frame. Put everything in the kitchen sink in there. Shit, we will absolutely stick some kittens in there. We'll stick it all in there if it's edible. And that's really a cool analogy to me of what we're trying to do here, which is I'm cool having everything and everybody and the fucking most brilliant people in here in my little crowd, and the least, like, maybe there's people that don't have the best IQ, but they got big hearts, or they're artists or whatever. But man, if you could turn people on, see, it's the young guys like you ask the questions, and those are the, you can't have an old guy asking a question. The young guy asks questions. Another young guy says, hey, that's a cool question. You know, like you've never thought about who you're going to hang out with on vacation, dude.
Correct.
Oh, wow. Then you're like, shit, I actually want my buddies to do well. Yeah, bro, you want some fucking monsters around you, because let me tell you something. You make your first $1 million, you're going to lose 5 friends. They're gone. Okay. Cause you left the atmosphere. Okay. The rocket ship is really, really a good example. Okay. You can stay in low orbit if you want, but, there's just so much gravity there.
Do you lose your friends when you
and
make
everybody's there, dude? Everybody's at 20,000 feet. Okay. You want to get away from the crowds. I mean, they, you know what I'm saying?
Well, to go off that analogy.
Have you ever seen a team of people that compete better when the competition's better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Almost as a characteristic. They're sloppy. If they don't have good competition, they're horrible. But as the competition amps up, they get better. That's exactly what happens here. It's exactly the same thing. If I'm around a guy selling Kool-Aid for 39 cents, it never dawns on me to make Kool-Aid and sell it for $4.99. Like, oh, wow, it sold for 39 cents. Yeah, dude, the first thing I think is, I'm going to sell some $5 lemonade. How do you sell $5 lemonade? Well, that's a cool idea, because I can sell 10 times less lemonade than these guys selling 39 cents. How could I possibly do that?
To go with your analogy, just back on the friendships, do you lose them when you're in the atmosphere? Or do you lose them just by getting on the rocket? Right, like at one point,
as soon as you get on a ride, dude, you lose them. As soon as you get on the ride, and the truth is, probably just need to do that consciously, because it's not gonna. You're going on a ride that you can't really explain to anyone. And when I say anyone, I'm including my twin brother, man. Oh, my mommy. Okay, like I did deals. I remember getting a phone call from Grant one day, and I told him, he said, what you doing, man? And he just happened to call me. This is the twin thing. It is a twin thing. He called me when something was like big, and I walked out of the room. He said, what you doing? I told him, I just did this deal. And he said, like, anyway, he challenged me why I would do it, because it was such a monster play. And I didn't need to hear that. See, even him, he looked at it because he didn't understand. All he heard was, oh, wow, this could cost my career if I'm wrong. It's so big, like I could go down. And his view was, hey, why would you do that? That's just unnecessary. And my view was, what do you mean, man? It's there. The deal's sitting there waiting to be done by someone. I have to do this deal. No one else would have done the deal. Quite frankly, it wasn't going away, but I just knew, and it's always irritated me that I don't know one human being in history that got fired for the deal they didn't do. The deal they didn't do that they should have done. Nobody ever gets fired over those deals. That's insane, man. People should be fired all the time for opportunity. Oh, I could have bought the World Trade Center and made $8 trillion, but I didn't. You know these people? Oh, yeah, I thought about doing that deal. Loser. Oh, yeah, I thought of that idea. Loser. Like, You thought of it, but you didn't do it. I cannot tell you how many people have come up to me 20 years later and said, bruh, anybody could have done what you did. Okay. Like 12.5 people. The people are funny, dude. Okay. There is a big difference in thinking about something and doing something about it. I mean, it's a big, big, big difference. And being willing not to have a bunch of people around you that makes you comfy, which will be the challenge. So most people, that's a very good question. The people that you're going to really like are going to actually get in this train with you. They may get on it at different times in the journey, right? But they're most certainly not going to understand the journey. Most certainly. So it's a difficult thing to talk about. And I'm really sure there are many. Actually. Yeah, I'm sure there's many areas that people have certain things, that they attract certain people, and there's just certain things they can't talk about. Maybe if you're a genius doctor, right, can't really talk to them about what you do, other than to other doctors. So.
Yeah, I saw A1 in the comments said, I made $1 million and lost all the friends I had before. Plus, I didn't have time to just BS and drink every weekend.
Yeah, I don't know about the BS and drinking every weekend. That's never done much for me. But you don't drink hardly at all, so you won't have that issue. I mean, if you think about business, and people ask me what I do for fun. Business for me has been my little game, and everybody around me they're either lawyers or accountants or energy players or crypto people or running a hedge fund I don't have much to talk to my neighbor about, man. They're doctors. Okay. I mean, I got a guy that does work next door to me for the U.S. government. He's making so much money. He doesn't even have time to talk to me, dude. He's got 13 cars in his garage. So that's just the facts of life. I mean, I think that's, and sadly, nobody tells you that in high school and college. See, this is weird to me. Okay. And because I'm not the genius, but I look at that and go, why isn't anyone actually encouraging people and telling people they're not going to stay in sororities? They build these relationships up like they're going to last forever. Now, maybe that's the way Harvard works. Maybe that is the deal. Okay. I've never had that deal. I'm also not on the and have not been on the same treadmill since I was 35 years old that most people get on. Remember, by the way, Sam, I'm talking about a rocket ship that doesn't trap me. Like the thing I'm the most proud of is that I have not gotten trapped but once or twice in corporate. In fact, the last time I got trapped was this doing business with family. That caused me. That was the trap, because I went into business saying I am not getting trapped by money, and I'm not going to get trapped by a job or hey, I've got to be, I have a title and therefore I will stay there forever because I have a title and I'm making a certain amount of money and therefore I'm going to stay. If I don't like it anymore, I'm leaving. And you have to me, if you get on this journey, you got to get on it and go, hey, I'm getting most people get on the journey and it's the only journey they ever have. And all they want to do is make the money. And then they wake up and they realize, oh shit, a lot of the quality people left this ride 10 years ago. The people I got on the ride with aren't here anymore. Many of them are miserable because they never got off this particular ride. But when you're 27, and this was at Simon's point was, bro, you have nothing to lose. You smash out 10 years of 18-hour days and you wake up when you're 37. When he said that to you, I wish you'd have been in a room with me, because when he said that to you, you're probably like, whoa, I forgot, dude. He was only talking about 10 years. 27, 28, 29. I'm 37. And then some idiot woman shows up and says, oh, baby, you need to have babies for the planet. Yeah, we need some more babies with broke dads. We don't need that shit, dude. Broke dads are terrified dads. Okay, because if you're not broke, good chance you and your wife, one of you have gone crazy because you're rich and you forgot what happened and how you got there. Remember, you get married, dude, you're asking two people to get on that same rocket. Okay, by the way, she probably wasn't on your rocket ride. So y'all are going to get on that same rocket ride and you're going to go for 37 million years. Because 37 million years when you go into most of these weddings, that's stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm going to love you forever. Forever is a most certainly a long fucking period of time. I have no interest in being with one spiritual being forever. It would be so boring, first off. And just telling myself I'm in this trade forever. I'm not asking you to work for me forever. Right? But like it's going to work. It's going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. When it's time for you to get off this ride and jump into another vehicle or build your own rocket, I'm cool, dude. That's exactly the way it should be. Right? And then you and I'll do something else down the road. But trying to grab somebody and trap them into a deal, that's not a good life. Just go read Steve Jobs' last comments. Just read Steve Jobs' last comments, okay? Like, that should be taught in school, dude. That should be at the end of every graduation, okay? It's ridiculous the shit we're not teaching kids, actually. It's ridiculous what we're not teaching them. The stuff I could go to Shorecrest, they have never asked me to come there. I'm like, wow. You guys are blind, okay? And if you're not blind, then you're not, and even worse. Even worse, right? So anyway, I don't know. We kind of got off track, but see, this is the cool thing about Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up to $3,000, and I'm talking about, hey, how can we really help the world instead of just pumping the price here?
Well, and it shows you Bitcoin. I mean, if it is what we think it is, it's way more than just an asset, right? Like this is really a life-changing opportunity. And so then if it is a life-changing opportunity, you have to literally manage, well, what in your life is going to change? And and that's everything, right? I mean, you're talking about getting on a rocket or getting on a different rocket and leaving people behind. Like that's like a pretty big deal. I think.
But see, nobody talks about, hey, you're gonna have to leave some friends behind, right? And I don't hear anybody when they get drafted in the military that they're bringing their buddies around. Hey, I'm going to Vietnam and I've got bullets hitting me in the face right now, but let me text you. Make sure I'll let you know how much I love you and send me your latest Spotify album, would you? Then people come to work for me and they're like, hey man, what are my hours? It's like, I don't know. What are my hours? Okay. Cause guess what? My kids don't stop needing me. And I've got something now. I can't just walk away from it. Now, if I died, I'd leave people so many problems here right now. It'd be unbelievable. So once you get, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get into imagine you're on an ocean. You're trying to get into a boat that you have somewhat control over, that can survive all the storms and get you and your team where you want to go. And if you don't have some discipline on that when times are tough, this is why so many people go bust, man. And they don't think of the analogy correctly. I have had so many people come up to me and go, dude, you're an animal. You're an animal. I want to be like you. I want to be like you. And they're doing 8 balls every night. and chasing prostitutes, and they're in casinos. And it's like, bro, you've seen me in a casino 3 times in your entire career, and you just can't hang around these people and get that done. You're literally just stuck in shit. So like that's the value. It hit Simon last night. Simon had a good night too. Okay. Because when I started going into the education platform on this, Simon was like, wow, man, seriously, I had never thought of that. Well, he's been so hell bent on Bitcoin, right? And I'm looking around going, whoa, nobody knows anything here, man. Everyone's so lost. You got brilliant people that come on spaces and they don't even know how to communicate. They're brilliant. We had one on a day or two ago. Brilliant, man. But they just, like, if you could just sit down, hey man, you know, your communication just a little bit different twist, it opened up the door for greater and greater education. You notice how many times I stop people that are like that and I go, hey, exactly what does that mean? Now I happen to know what it means, but I'm quite certain the audience got left behind about 3 sentences ago. Now this is something we need to correct. Like, I will continue to do this because I cannot tell you how many times in school that the teachers would allow me and others, and they allow my kids to do it today, where they're talking about a subject, but they just got through talking about a subject that they still did not fully understand. And then they take on another subject with a misunderstanding from the prior subject, and it is impossible to learn a secondary thing if you're stuck on something in your mind and you're not quite clear on it. And this shit happens on spaces all the time, man. And it's just an exaggeration of what happens in our education system. You have to, like, do you understand that? Yes, you understand that. Good. Let's move on now. So to me, it's just so exciting. Bitcoin or no Bitcoin. If we lose this, man, see, I think if we lose this, this is going to replace all education. By 2030, I've said this before, I'll say it again. It's a very bold statement. By 2030, I think the only people going to schools, physical schools, are people who are choosing to stick their kids into the prison system. And by the way, I think that is what we're doing to the kids. But I think it's going to become very conscious and aware that, oh, that crowd of people sends their kids away to the prison because they can't control them. Literally, one single family, they just can't afford, and the other people are going to use this technology. And it's a big gap to fill, but let me tell you something. It would save so much money, time, and energy. It would, and we will. You know, my children say, hey, we spend 30 minutes a day figuring out what we're going to wear to school, when all they had to do is make us wear uniforms. And then the first day of school, they get there, they write fucking documents so long. It's so stupidly embarrassing. I have to read 4 pages of what the kids can do. And guess what? On day 1, the kids do exactly what the fuck they want to do, and nobody gets corrected. And my kids look at it and go, this is the world we're going into. You make up rules and then you don't even put them in place. And then the next day, my kids are wearing short shorts, right? And I'm not blaming my kids. My kids are awesome. It's the system. They're looking around going, what a joke. They don't even know they're doing this, but they're doing this already. 14 years old, they're like, oh, what a wanker. This cannot continue, dude. It cannot, absolutely cannot continue. It's not sustainable. See, that's the thing. Like, we've been doing this since I was a kid. This is going to break. And I suspect that the requirements for change are so massive that it probably has to break first. And we just start over. I just keep saying that over and over. Probably going to have to start over because no one's going to do this voluntarily. No one.
I saw in the comments, someone said, wasted $85,000 going to college and could have just been doing what I'm doing now the whole time.
Most certainly. Most certainly. The waste of money for people going to college. Most people aren't qualified or overqualified for college. How's that, dude? Most people are overqualified for college, and by the time they get out, they're underqualified for anything else. Wow. Crazy.
That's a great statement. I'm writing
Overqualified
that
for
down.
college. Huh?
I said I'm writing that down. That's a great statement.
Does anybody have any comments on Bitcoin? I'm a little surprised Bitcoin's doing this prior to a weekend. It's going to be really interesting to see if it's able to hold up on the selling that we saw last 2 weekends, which are really thin markets. Those markets go ultra thin. People have been, bouncing them around. They'll probably try to bounce this thing around at 55 again. So, Sam, if you have that 10 grand, then you might want to, just try that strategy. Hey, place a bid for 5Gs at 55, 55.5, something like that. I like to use little odd numbers. If you're going to use 55, I use 55,000.01 or 2 or 3. Right? You understand? So that'll be the first bid to get if somebody's just going in at 55 and being lazy. Who cares if you pay another 2 or 3 cents for it, right? Because you cannot get filled if you miss the number. You'd hate to get it at, I set my number at 55.50.000, and somebody picked up 55.501. I mean, that would be irritating. But at this point, it's a total guess. I do suspect it will try to go test 55 again. It should.
I'll let you know Monday. I'll let you. We'll see what happens over the weekend.
So you want to go through a few comments?
Yeah.
Here we got. Sailor's really worried about the price. His average price for this $1+ billion was 60,538, I think, bringing his average up to 35 grand. My average is about 40,678. These are very important numbers. Like, I would encourage people, when you're listening to people that suggest that they know what they're talking about, you know what their entry price is as a weighted average. Someone with a $300 Bitcoin price as their average price, you want to know that they have not added Bitcoin in years and years and years. Okay, it's very important for you and me to know, so your perspective is your $300 average. You have 10,000 Bitcoin. Awesome for you, lottery winner. However, you haven't added any Bitcoin. Huh? That's interesting. So when did you stop believing in Bitcoin? Well, I have enough. Well, you have enough at 300, but are you saying at 60,000 it's not good value? And you may find that is their view. Okay. And I would actually say that if they hadn't added at 60, that is their view. Because if I haven't sold today, I am a buyer at this price. This is the way I look at it. It's so binary for me. Dude, if you didn't sell 59, you're buying 59 today. If you're holding 59, you're a buyer at 59. Otherwise, you would have sold it. Okay. Now, I know you didn't sell it, but if you're not selling it, you really do have to ask, hey, why am I not adding here? Right? Because I must think it's going to go up. If a guy tells me he's got 10,000 Bitcoin at 69,000, when I see Michael Saylor say, hey, I've got 140,000 Bitcoin, my average is 32. Okay, sir. And what are you doing now? I continue to add 500 Bitcoin every day, sir. Oh, wow. Okay. He's cool. Who else? Like, at least okay, I am adding here. There are many things I could invest in, many. And I continue to add here. I'm not allocating anywhere else. I'm allocating to Bitcoin. And that's really, really, I would encourage everybody. See, Crypto Billy. See, here we go. Crypto Billy says, hey, my average is 27 grand. Okay. Jimmy, 29. See, this is cool. People are starting to know what their price is. Look at this cat. Okay. Charlie Dunt hadn't bought for three years. Okay, cool. Be interesting to know why. He's at 4,500. Here's a cat. Josh, your average is 66.4. cool. See, now he's got an opportunity to lower his cost base 10% if he wants to. He can pick up 59.60 right now. Who else we got up here? Here we got a quote about Cardone preaching. I preach like you. My family members think I'm crazy. Yeah, I don't preach to the family members, dude. They just call me. I know they're paying attention. They call me at 52. Go, are you okay? Huh? Goes to 70. Never get a phone call. Okay, 52. Are you okay? Do you need some money? At 300 grand, they're going to be like, hey, how's your X Spaces show going?
Exactly.
It is so hilarious, dude. Okay. I mean, it went to 15. Have you committed suicide yet? It's just so hilarious. I would love to have a bunch of these guys on. Bart, average 23. Caesar, 58. Hey, you guys in the low numbers, would love to have you on a show one night. Call, for 30 minutes to an hour and talk about, hey, what was your thought process in not adding? And I'm not trying to do this from you did the wrong thing. Just very interested. It's Dennis Porter. Dennis, just join my damn X Spaces, dude. I'm trying to find out what damn Trump's doing. World Liberty Coin. Dennis Porter,
That's
call.
right.
Just jump on Spaces. We don't need to pay T-Mobile. So, see, I should have given Dennis all that fucking money now. I regret giving the 12.8 Bitcoin. Sam, I got to tell you. If this gets launched, I'm like, oh, man.
I think it'll be okay. Oh, no, I think it'll be okay. I really do.
It's a lack of attention, okay? It's 3 months, bro. It's 3 months. Hold your fucking shit back. Come on. I'm sorry. I see. This is where you'll learn. Oh wow, Gary is a straight shooter. I just gave somebody $1 million and I'm bitching about it now. But like, I'm a straight shooter. It's like, dude, this timing is not cool. I made 5 phone calls to try to derail this shit last night. Here's a big key, 28 G's. You guys are ballers, man. I mean, it's fucking awesome. Look at this cat. First purchase was at 11.5. Beast. Bomber. Bomber, you ought to change your name to, Missile. Look at this cat. He borrowed against his house to buy Bitcoin at 7K. Woo! Hey, want to hear a funny story? This is a true story. In 2020, January of 2021, my investment banker called me up and said, hey, is it true you took $8 million from the company and bought Bitcoin with it? I said, dude, what? And he tells me again. I said, who told you that? He tells me who told. And I said, what did you tell her when she gave you this pitch? I said, he's a fucking animal. He's a genius. This person was called to throw me under the bus on a deal. Completely lied. I wish I had done that. And said, hey, Gary took $8 million from the company till and bought Bitcoin with it. And Steve looked at her and went, he's a beast. I mean, that's going to be the best move in the history of mankind. She hung up the phone. So you never know when you start slamming people with gossip, what happens. Mm-hmm. We got Steven bought at 70, bought to 15, bought to 70, and so on. Yeah, you took the ride, huh, dude? I did too. It was a brutal ride. I sold. So you guys, like, I'm not one of these guys. Oh yeah, I bought the bottom. I bought the bottom. I sold the tops. I sold NVIDIA at 70. No, I think I bought NVIDIA at 70 and had to sell it to hold on my Bitcoin. That was a bad trade. And shit happens, man. You're just not going to make all these decisions correctly. Let's see. My ex-wife wanted half my Bitcoin. She initially thought it was a scam. I lost it in a boating accident. Charlie, I won't say anything. sold my house. We all, 4 years ago. I'm not going to say anything. I hate the story about the boating accident thing.
I know. When I read that, I was like, oh, here we go.
I think you guys are begging for an audit. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, okay? No one should ever use that term ever again. And if you do use it, like, you're going to get audited, okay? Like, it's just not a good excuse. And if that is the truth, I would actually say that everyone should have already written a note to their advisor and the IRS. And with the police report. Look at this. Junie average is 1760. Dude, there's some rich people sitting around these rooms. Okay, there's a whole ton of people that are anonymous right now. I ain't telling anybody who I am. I'm most certainly not saying my average price. My lowest buy is 6,000, highest is 70. Now that is my kind of guy right there. I've got 72, and I think the cheapest I've ever bought is 25. I was just not in a position below 25 to do anything. I was just jammed up. So we got some people with big spreads. Kind of an interesting story, huh? When you hear real people, Sam, when you see it in writing, hey, these people are writing this down voluntarily. 4 years, dude. Okay. In 15 years, no one that's held Bitcoin for 4 years lost any money. That is a very spectacular stat that is very hard to like, oh, that's going to change. That's going to change. And this is the first 4-year cycle. We have the most audacious blue chip capital coming into Bitcoin ever in the history of mankind. I'm not so sure. I think everybody that's coming in here is expecting a similar return. They're not chasing some other, it's going to go up 2%. First off, they're already loaded up with everything else. See, these are simple ways to look at long-term investment strategies, but they're all based on fundamentals. Some of the people you're listening to, they're technical guys like Chris. Like, I don't even care about the technicals because the time horizon for those technicals for him is not even close to what I'm talking about. Right? So it doesn't really matter what's happening. It's what matters is, hey, what's the 1 week chart look like? Right? I just want to, you start thinking in 10 years, 27, I start investing. I invest every day. See, all these people that did what they're giving us all their prices. I would love for all those people to go, hey, what would you have done had you continued buying every month? What would your welfare look like today? What would your asset position look like today compared to what it looks like today with the actions you did take? There's massive lessons in that for other people. And whether the story's good or bad, there are massive, massive lessons. Let me tell you, I know people that bought for 300, sold it for 7,000, and have never been able to get back in. And instead of really talking about what happened, what they do is they begin to justify using charts of why they made the right decision, and they've never made the wrong decision. And the truth is, hey, not coming back in, maybe you didn't have the capacity to do it. I got it, but you cannot say that it was not an error. If you had the capacity to do it and you didn't do it, it was an error and at least opportunity cost. And that's the way I've always looked at things. I don't have to make myself right or wrong over it. There were 4 homes here that if I would have been smart, I would have mortgaged the shit out of them and bought everything out here. I was going through a fucking monster divorce, dude. Half my brain had been removed from me. Okay. I was terrified to lose my kids. I didn't give a fuck about money at that point. Not a toss. So you can't look at everyone's life and go, oh, wow, dude, you bought at 7,000, never bought again. Yeah. Well, maybe he's been in a coma. I don't know. Okay. Maybe he had a divorce. Maybe he lost a child. He was building a company that he couldn't stop building. I mean, I could have invested $6 or $7 more million in Bitcoin had I not done Node 40. Right? I think Node 40 is going to be, I think Node 40 will outdo Bitcoin over a 4 to 6 year cycle. And in fact, it might do it over a even shorter cycle. And it's a good layer on top of Bitcoin for me. It's a different duration for me. So it's just the way I look at things. But I'd love to get all these guys up here and just have hey, what happened? What did you do? Really get the story, because the stories are all going to be very similar experiences that you're going to have. You're going to meet a girl and go, oh, what should I do? You're going to have another job opportunity one day. Hey, what should I do? And it's cool just thinking these things through and learning from other people. There's no reason for me to make every mistake that's ever been made prior to me. If all I do is listen, read, and learn, study, assuming I have accurate data, gosh, I don't want to repeat somebody else's mistakes.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that, Gary. I'm just absorbing it all. I believe Node 40 is genius. That's from Josh Bryant. Josh, you're awesome. I mean, I think he comes on every show we have.
Yeah, he is awesome. He sent us some money on Cash App yesterday. It's like so sweet. Really appreciate that, and appreciate that we're not giving it to Google. That still has me seriously irritated. 33%. Let's see. Do we have any other comments we want to look at? If not, I have a 1:30 call. Gary, recession year next year in your view? Great question. I think we're in a I'm not even sure that these terms make sense anymore, because what if we were in a recession in one piece of a market, but not a recession in another piece of the market? Whatever we're in, I'm convinced that all commodity prices, this commodity super cycle people are talking about, this is not happening. I don't think oil's moving anywhere but down. The demand's not there. I don't even know if anybody understands what's going on with society right now, dude. So to say it's in recession, it probably is in recession if you assume there's 20 million people here that can't feed themselves. And there's 20 million people in Europe that don't have hospitals to go to. Or there's 30 people sitting in a council flat, 1,100 square feet, and 30 people living in a council flat. 30 people are living inside of an 1,100 square foot council flat. And that happens 10,000 times a day in, I don't know, half of England. So what is that? So I could see asset values going up, commodity prices coming down, the stock market going up, and the world feeling very miserable. There's so much money everywhere. So I don't even know, is a recession. I mean, food's not going to continue going up unless they drop a weapon somewhere. I don't think food can continue to go up. Oil and gas prices aren't going up. The further housing goes up, the less people will own them. They will rent. Rent will go up. Totally agree with Grant. Rents will go up. That does not mean you guys should all be looking to go into 3 and 4 year rents. If you could freeze rents for 3 or 4 years, I would absolutely do that. And I wouldn't buy a fucking house. Not a chance in the world. I'm actually thinking about getting aggressive about this one, the one I live in, because there will be a point where nobody's going to want a 14, 15, $16 million house, man. I mean, quite frankly, those are probably not going to be touched last, but just because people that can afford those they're going to be able to afford them anyway. But the money just could be put to much better use. Yeah, see, I agree with Mike. I think we've been in this bizarre kind of quasi recession for a long time that it maybe never went away. when the gap between wealthy and poor getting bigger and bigger, when $104,000 for two people in a family, husband and wife and some kids, 104 is the average income. I think it cost about 80 grand for that family to live. $7 grand a month. Doesn't sound crazy, right?
Yeah, we have to.
That's 84.
Like, we have to remember, like, we call it the Great Depression. People living through it didn't call it the Great Depression. I don't even know if they knew they were living in a Great Depression. Right. And so I think about
they knew a lot of people were out of work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, seriously, they weren't like, wow, this is some crazy economic downturn. They were just like, yeah, the economy's screwed. So I think about that all the time. I'm like, are we living through something similar and we have blinders on? Right? Because of, like you were saying, like, what does recession even mean? Like, seriously, because they can just change the term. If we haven't made up the growth trajectory that we were supposed to be on pre-2008, like, we still haven't made that up. There's been no bounce back. Like, when you see the charts from the Great Depression and World War II, what is that?
Well, this is a real issue, though, okay? Because growth, the stock market is built, and the whole financial market is built on this scenario that everything has to grow infinitely forever. Mm-hmm. Yet we know that is not true in any universe in humanity's scientific purview. Nothing grows forever. It grows, it slows its growth, it begins to decay, and then it dies. And that's IBM. Okay, it's General Electric. Like, all of these things die sooner or later. There's no company in the history of mankind that has survived forever. Barclays is a 420-year-old bank. It will go down one day. Might not go down tomorrow, but it's not going to live forever. The US dollar will not live forever. Come on. Nothing has lived forever. So just the concept of Wall Street bullshit, growth forever, it's insanity, man. And then they smash that into, hey, and by the way, we need you to report quarterly earnings. We need you to grow forever, and we need to make sure you're doing it so well that every 90 days we're seeing that growth. That's crazy, dude. That is absolutely insanity, okay? Like, to think that you can grow forever and ever and do it every 30 days. Never taking off any time to replenish, never taking any time to put a foundation in, never taking any time to make an 8-year investment. Because, I mean, imagine if NVIDIA hadn't made an investment in the 90s. Well, NVIDIA wouldn't be here today, okay? Because this shit doesn't pop up like popcorn. Popcorn even takes 3 minutes. So it's I think that these markets are bound to break because they're not going to defy gravity, and they're not going to defy the logical cycles of everything, including America's dominant position, right? Like, these are cycles. I mean, I can tell you a story that Egypt once had a profound impact on the world. And I can show you a story that when Rome and Greece, and, like, you just go through history books, like, oh, wow, we've been here before, man. Our egos are massive. It's so difficult for us to understand death and decay. But that's just the natural order of things. And that, to me, builds a case for Bitcoin. See, like, I look at that and go, dude, Bitcoin's 15-year-old little baby. It's not going to get wiped out. It's a 15-year-old young man who, like, has unlimited potential, has nobody holding it down, no board to tell it can't do something. No Wall Street guy says, hey, we need quarterly reports. It's going to say, fuck you, dude. We don't care. It's behaving very like, I don't give a toss about any of you guys. I don't care about campaigns. I don't care about blue, red, white, Putin, Smootin, or Newton. I'm going to do what I do. And I think that's awesome for Bitcoin. And we should probably end there.
What time is your space tomorrow?
I'm going to try to do 11 a.m. And we're going to do it on, oh, by the way, if you have a pitch, if you want to improve kind of an idea you're working on, bring these ideas. I think they have something to do with EQ, IQ, and character. And I think there's a lot of people starting to show up in these rooms that can be helpful in how you frame an idea. So yeah, 11 a.m. I haven't confirmed it with Hitch, but I'm sure he'll be there. He's an awesome player. Great place for families. Okay. This is, I mean, even though I curse a little bit, it's a great place for families because we're not just talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about what can you do to improve, hoodwink your chances in this universe to be a player. By the way, it takes the same amount of energy, roughly, to be a player and to be a non-player. It does. It takes roughly the same amount of energy. In fact, I find more energy when I am the player versus being the non-player. That's why I'm such a small spectator on anything. I'm not a spectator. I'd rather take a nap. And I don't know why. I just have never been. I mean, I can watch a ball game, preferably if I have a wager on it. But see, even that, I want to have some engagement in the action. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, okay, well, I could read a book too. Okay, so
what note do you want to
Bitcoin
leave
today?
Everybody on? Yep.
Yeah, we're buying Bitcoin today at 58. If I can pick it up at 58, I will. You're probably going to wait for 55. I'm not a pig. And I'm not impatient either. Oh, I know. I'm going to go out of my way and do something really nice for somebody today, even if I don't like doing it. And I'm not going to brag about it. I'm expecting all of you guys to do the same thing. And if you show up tomorrow, I would like 1 or 2 examples of what you're finding to be good examples of how to do this. Okay. We've been doing this for what now, 2 or 3 months? By now, Some of you guys have to have some really cool stories. But imagine if 3,200 people did something nice for somebody today. Okay, dude, that ripple. Okay, that's really cool. So most certainly can't hurt anything. So I'll leave it with that. You guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you this weekend on IQ and Character. Until then, may Bitcoin be our savior.
See you, everybody.